The Night Nurse of Ward 19, an original horror story for Horror Baxa. It started as just another night shift. Lena Torres had worked as a night nurse for almost 10 years. She'd seen her share of emergencies, overdoses, trauma cases, even a few deaths, but none of that frightened her anymore. What frightened her was silence. And that's exactly what she found when she transferred to St. Augustine's Hospital, an old facility on the edge of town, half abandoned, half operational, waiting for demolition. The main building was closed, but a small wing, Ward 19, was still active, treating elderly patients until the new hospital opened. It was quiet there. Too quiet. 1. The whispers. The first night, Lena felt it immediately. The air inside Ward 19 was heavy. The walls were yellowed from decades of cigarette smoke. The lights buzzed faintly, always flickering, as if struggling to stay alive. Her only company was an older nurse named Martha Quinn, who had been there since the 1970s. She smiled, but her eyes looked hollow, tired, in a way that wasn't just physical. "You'll get used to the noises," Martha said during the first night's round. "What noises?" Lena asked. Martha didn't answer. She just smiled and walked away. At 2:47 a.m., Lena heard it. A soft whisper from one of the empty rooms. It wasn't a patient. She knew that instantly. It was too low, too deliberate. "Help me." She froze in the hallway, the hair on her neck lifting. The whisper came again, closer this time. "Room 19. But room 19 had been sealed for years. 2. The locked door. The next evening, Lena asked Martha about it. "Why is room 19 locked?" Martha's face went pale. "That room doesn't exist anymore," she said. Then she walked away. Later that night, during her rounds, Lena found herself standing in front of the very door, room 19. It was sealed with chains and rusted locks, but the number was still visible beneath the peeling paint. And behind that door, she could hear faint breathing. "Hello," she whispered. The breathing stopped. Then something scratched the inside of the door. Long, slow, metallic. 3. The patient who wasn't there. 2 nights later, Lena was checking vitals when she noticed an entry on her clipboard that she didn't recognize. Patient R. Hale, room 19. Condition unstable. There was no R. Hale in the hospital system, but the name, it felt familiar. She checked old records in the storage room. There it was, Robert Hale, admitted 1978. Diagnosis, psychotic depression after a failed lobotomy. Discharge note, patient deceased following self-harm. Her hands began to tremble. The handwriting on that file, it was the same as the one on her new chart. Someone had written it by hand, recently. 4. The corridor lights. Around 3 a.m., Lena was alone in the hallway again. The emergency lights flickered. One by one, they dimmed, moving towards her like falling dominoes. Then, at the far end of the corridor, she saw him. A man, pale, thin, hospital gown stained with blood. He stood under the last flickering light, head tilted, eyes hollow. "Mr. Hale?" Lena whispered, trembling. He smiled, but his mouth didn't move. The smile just appeared on his face, stretched too wide. Then the lights went out. Lena dropped her flashlight. When it flicked back on, he was gone. 5. The tape recorder. The next morning, Lena found an old cassette recorder on the nurse's desk, covered in dust. A label on it read, Ward 19, Night Log, 1978. She pressed play. Static. Then a voice. Calm, male. Patient Hale continues to scream about voices inside the walls. He says they tell him what to write. Tonight, he started repeating my name. Then, another voice, the same whisper she had heard days earlier. Room 19. Help me. The tape stopped. Her hands shook so hard she dropped it. 6. The fire that never happened. Martha didn't show up that night. When Lena asked about her, the hospital administrator looked confused. He said, "There's no Martha Quinn in our records. She died in the fire 40 years ago." What fire? He looked at her blankly. The fire that destroyed Ward 19 in 1978. But Lena had been there. She'd seen the lights, the halls, the rooms. Her stomach twisted as she realized the wing didn't exist. Not anymore. 7. The final night. The next evening, Lena returned anyway. She needed to see for herself. She parked outside the ruins of the old hospital. Blackened bricks, collapsed ceilings, vines crawling up what was left of the building. But inside, she saw the same hallway, clean, lit, as if nothing had happened. Her footsteps echoed. The clock above the nurse's desk read 2:47 a.m. From behind her, a whisper. "You came back." She turned. Martha stood there, her skin pale, burned, eyes full of sorrow. "You shouldn't have come. It never lets go." The door to room 19 creaked open by itself. Inside, the faint glow of an old hospital bed. And someone sitting upright on it. Robert Hale. He looked right at her. "Now, it's your turn to listen." 8. The aftermath. 3 days later, demolition crews entered the ruins of St. Augustine's Hospital. They found a single nurse's badge in the ash. Name, L. Torres. Next to it, an old tape recorder still running. The recording? Just the sound of someone breathing and a whisper. Room 19 never closed.